They have provoked us and overcome us, and many of the people of our country have fled to Egypt for fear of the taxes that the king of Egypt has sent to demand from us." Then Ahikar took the letter and read it and understood all that was in it. Then he said to the king, "Do not be angry, my lord. I will go to Egypt, and I will give the answers to Pharaoh, and I will display this letter to him, and I will reply to him about the taxes, and I will send back all those who have run away, and I will put your enemies to shame with the help of the Most High God, and for the happiness of your kingdom." And when the king heard these words from Ahikar, he rejoiced with a great joy, and his heart was expanded, and he showed him favor. And Ahikar said to the king, "Grant me a delay of 40 days, that I may consider this question and manage it." And the king permitted this. And Ahikar went to his home, and he commanded the huntsmen to capture 2 young eaglets for him. And they captured them and brought them to him. And he commanded the weavers of ropes to weave 2 cables of cotton for him, each of them 2,000 cubits long, about 3,000 feet. And he had the carpenters brought and ordered them to make 2 great boxes, and they did this. Then he took 2 little lads and spent every day sacrificing lambs and feeding the eagles and the boys, and making the boys ride on the backs of the eagles. And he bound them with a firm knot and tied the cable to the feet of the eagles, and let them soar upwards little by little every day, to a distance of 10 cubits, till they grew accustomed and were educated to it. And they rose all the length of the rope until they reached the sky, the boys being on their backs. Then he drew them to himself. And when Ahikar saw this, his desire was fulfilled. He charged the boys that when they were borne aloft to the sky, they were to shout, saying, "Bring us clay and stone, that we may build a castle for King Pharaoh, for we are idle." And Ahikar was never done training them and exercising them until they had reached the greatest possible point of skill. Then leaving them, he went to the king and said to him, "My lord, the work you desired is finished. Come with me, that I may show you the wonder." So the king sprang up and sat with Ahikar and went to the wide place and sent to bring the eagles and the boys. And Ahikar tied them and let them off into the air, all the length of the ropes, and they began to shout as he had taught them. Then he drew them to himself and put them in their places. And the king and those who were with him wondered with great wonder. And the king kissed Ahikar between his eyes and said to him, "Go in peace to Egypt, and answer the questions of Pharaoh, and overcome him by the strength of the Most High God. You are my beloved and the pride of my kingdom." Then he said his farewell to the king, and took his troops and his army, and the young men and the eagles, and went toward the dwellings of Egypt. And when he had arrived, he turned towards the country of the king. And when the people of Egypt knew that Sennacherib had sent a man of his private council to talk with Pharaoh and answer his questions, they carried the news to King Pharaoh. And he sent a party of his private counselors to bring Ahikar before him. And he came and entered into the presence of Pharaoh and bowed to him as it is fitting to do to kings. And he said to him, "My lord the king, Sennacherib the king hails you with abundance of peace and might and honor. And he has sent me, who am one of his servants, that I may answer your questions and may fulfill all your desire. For you have sent to seek from my lord the king a man who will build you a castle between the heaven and the earth. And I, by the help of the Most High God and your noble favor, and power of my lord the king, will build it for you as you desire."
No.
"But my lord the king, what you have said in it about the taxes of Egypt for 3 years. Now the stability of a kingdom is strict justice. And if you win and my hand has no skill in replying to you, then my lord the king will send you the taxes which you have mentioned. And if I shall have answered you in your questions, it shall remain for you to send whatever you have mentioned to my lord the king. And when Pharaoh heard that speech, he wondered and was perplexed by the freedom of his tongue and the pleasantness of his speech. And King Pharaoh said to him, Man, what is your name? And he said, Your servant is Ahikar, and I a little ant of the ants of King Sennacherib.